Sis and tell, a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. Amanda does stand up. Allison's on TV, and when they hop on the phone, it's the place you wanna be. Sis and tell, a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Just chilling in Destin, the Redneck Riviera. We're on spring break.
Is it crazy down there? I mean, you see all of these news clips, and I hear from friends who are in that area that it is literally like Mardi Gras, but on the beach.
Yeah, no, I was prepared for that, but before, and we're staying with mommy and daddy, so before we came down, I was like, what is it like? And they said it's okay, right? It's also like, some people are like, what pandemic? But it's pretty empty here. A few years ago, we came here and I vowed never to come back during spring break because this was pre-pandemic because it was so insane, right? There are all these like teenagers like acting crazy. They broke the elevator. They went crazy. And I was like, I don't want to be around spring breakers ever again. So, but we came back and it's pretty docile. A lot of families with toddlers. And people are spread out. We've mostly ride the elevator by ourselves. People are really respectful about letting you take over the elevator. And we're still wearing masks. Get my
Like
second
on the
dose.
beach? You're wearing masks on the beach or no?
I'm wearing a mask. No, not on the beach.
Okay.
And it's pretty spread out, right? So, no, and like inside, like I had to run and get. One of my children forgot to pack underwear, so I had to go.
That's a typical thing, yes.
So I had to go get some underwear, and there was like really no one it was Old Navy, and no one was there, and people are wearing masks, and in the elevator, around the elevator, some people are not, And
Have you gone out to dinner?
No, I don't do that.
Okay.
I mean, like I will go eat outdoors at certain restaurants in my town that I'm familiar with and I know what their protocols are and how many people walk by on the street.
Yeah.
But it really, I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not going to go into.
It's hard, the transition for a lot of us, right? To
Yeah.
back to some sense of normalcy. It feels scary.
You know what's scary to me is the idea of, and I've been doing virtual comedy shows. I have not done, I did one in-person show, but that was a private show at someone's house, and there were like 8 people in the audience, and it was
a comedy cocktail party.
It was very small, but as long as they were laughing, I didn't care, and I needed to hear that.
Right?
But the idea of going back to in-person comedy freaks me out, like more than when I started comedy.
Because of the crowds, or because you're nervous that you're sort of starting over in your comedy journey?
Yeah. Yes. I feel like I'm starting over. It's like a rebirth, and I have to go through the comedy vaginal canal.
Let's call it the comedy rite of passage. That might be a bit more appropriate for our audience. Yes.
So I came to Chattanooga, God, it feels like forever ago, and did that private show, and it was like a 45-minute show, and I was looking for a clip recently I needed to submit for something, and I was watching the video you took of that performance, and there's a moment where I tell this joke. It's the same joke where I compare our hair.
Yes.
And they laughed. I counted 18 seconds of laughter.
It's a good joke.
But 18 seconds, it was just to listen to it and hear them laughing. I was like, I hope I can get that again.
Right.
Right. And it makes me feel so good to be laughed at. I don't care if they're laughing with me or at me. Just
laughter in your presence.
Yes. I need to hear, I want to hear that I'm making people happy. And, I don't know if it's like a youngest child syndrome where I want people to like me, but it's also
like we all have that syndrome. I think there's something about wanting to be liked. I don't know if I ever told you the story that years ago when I was entering this leadership cabinet, we had to read the book Strengths Finder. Have you ever read that book? I recommend it a lot, especially.
I have it. I got it when I was at Turner. We got it for some class, but I never filled it out.
Well, and the beauty of it is you really only have to read the first chapter. Not your strength to actually follow through and to do your strengths. Well, this was great. You really only have to read like the first chapter or so, and then you fill out, you go to this code in the back of the book, a special code, and you do a survey online, and they tell you up front, they're very upfront saying, this is not about a contemplative reflection on your strengths and assets. This is just a gut reaction. And based on these gut reactions, we will tell you what your strengths are. And I like the book a lot. I recommend it. I was about to say I recommend it a lot to especially students who are graduating college to really sort of focus their attention on what their talents are. Because I say one of the things that I struggled with even getting out of graduate school is trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, like what vocation to go down or what job, what role I needed, instead of saying, well, what do I have to offer any company? It doesn't matter where I go. This is the job. These are the skills that I want to put into practice instead of this is the role I want to play. And I think that's a great distinguishing point. Anyway, all that to say, they tell you up front, gut reaction. And if you don't react, they just go on to the next question. So I'm sitting in bed with my laptop, and one of the questions was, and it wasn't necessarily, it's not like black or white. Like, I like chocolate ice cream. I like vanilla ice cream. It's one side of the spectrum, and then you can be neutral. But one side of the spectrum was, I want people to like me. And I always say that, like, I do. I want people to like me. As Mommy says, I want my enemies to like me. But the other side of the spectrum.
I especially want my enemies.
To like me. But here's the thing. So left side.
I may not like you, but please like me.
So the left side, right? Even if I can't stand you, please adore me. Right. So the left side of the spectrum was, I want people to like me. But the right side of the spectrum was, I want people to adore me.
Oh.
Exactly.
Yes. No, adoring. That's what I want. I don't care. Like, I want.
Well, I was sitting in bed. I remember this distinctly, and Alan texted me, and I'm very focused on completing this test, and it literally gives you maybe 3 or 5 seconds to respond. So I see the like, I'm about to click on that because I always say that, but then I see the adore and didn't realize that was an option. And I thought, oh, but do I want people to adore me? But maybe adore is too strong. I start overthinking it, and guess what happens? Bam! They skipped. It goes, next question. And I screamed out loud. I went, no! And Alan said, what? I go, stop talking to me. I'm going to fail this test because I can't make a gut reaction, right? I can't even decide. I did not start over. And I will tell you, that was 2009. Okay. So 11 years later, it's still hard for me to answer that question. I'm pretty sure I just want people to like me. I think adore feels... It just feels a little bit like, well, this is probably why you do want the adore. It feels very fan-based, not authentic, the adoration. Right?
Really?
I don't know. It feels a little idyllic in nature.
I think it feels more endearing. I think when you are adored, that there's something like you've reached someone's heart, right? Like you're endearing to them. You feel, in fact... I still remember Melissa, our sister-in-law, talking about when she was dating Stuart, and he said to her, I just adore you. And she said she had never heard that from anyone, and how good that made her feel, and that was, I think,
but with that said, you really want everybody to adore you or just certain people?
It's hard because it's also like I associate it with being adorable, right? So it's kind of...
I'm not sure being adored makes you adorable. Those are... right?
I don't know, but I feel like adoring is like, says something about your personality versus, I like you. You could still be an asshole, but I still like you. Right? But if you adore someone, it feels a little deeper. I don't know. It feels like a deeper connection. Like you really enjoy being around them. And
I don't disagree, except this is universal. This is, I want people to like me. I want people to adore me. Do you want people in general really to adore you?
Yeah.
All of
Are
them.
you looking up? You're looking up the definition of adore right now, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm cutting my cuticles as I'm talking to you.
No,
Because
you're
they bother
not.
me. Yeah.
Stop it. You're supposed to adore me, and if you do, wouldn't be cutting your. You're not cutting your cuticles
No, I
while
did.
we're
I had
recording
a little hangnail thing, and it was
hangnail.
bothering me. Sorry, distracted. But I was listening to you. Sorry, what were you saying?
Right.
So anyway, 11 years later, I still struggle between the adore and like. I think I should just put I want people to like me, because I do want people to like me, and I often say I do adore my husband and my children. I adore you, Amanda.
Aww,
but
yeah.
I also
Really like
I like you too. But look, so as siblings or as a parent or spouse, I think is a different category. But you always say we really love our children, but I really like my children, right? I adore them, of course, but I really like them. Like I like to be around them. So, which is funny.
I say that about my husband. I don't just love him. I really like him a lot.
Yeah, which is important. I mean, especially as I'm getting into this, about to be an empty nester. I gotta like my husband.
I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. That is a whole other thing.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting. So one of the other things I did recently that I haven't done, and not that I'm counting, but 388 days, is I returned to the gym. I was considered fully vaccinated as of last week, which means, for anybody listening, yes, I do know what that means, 2 weeks after my second dose of Pfizer, or 2 weeks after if you only get one dose of Johnson & Johnson. And I went back to Orange Theory. And I am this evangelical, crazy loyalist when it comes to Orange Theory. And I had to put my membership on hold for the past...
Especially if they're giving out socks.
Oh, especially if there's swag involved, right? I don't even want to know what kind of swag they gave out. I'm assuming nothing over the past 13 months. But they were very gracious. I had a founding membership price because I joined in August of 2017, probably 2 weeks after the studio opened down the street from me. And then they graciously put my membership on hold for 388 days. Again, not that I've been counting.
That's crazy.
And they've been doing great. I mean, so there's 11 of us who actually met at Orange Theory 3 years ago, and we work out in this pod together. You've probably heard of me say my push partners. So 8 of them went back pretty quickly after the studio opened. The studio has the instructor mast, and then there's plexiglass between the stations, and they do a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I just wasn't comfortable, and I knew, I was not and am not judging anybody who went back, because you have to do what you're comfortable with. I just knew for myself that the stress I would feel going back would counteract any
positive
de-stress that I might feel from working out, right? So 3 of us have been running outside, which has been a godsend, both physically and mentally. And all 3 of us as of this week, are all going back. So it's pretty fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a big move.
I am not rejoining the gym that I quit over a year ago. Probably not.
Really?
I realized I was just looking forward to the days where we would go running.
Because you're a good runner. You didn't even realize that before you joined.
Right? I didn't even know. And all I need is great music. And that's why I love my hip hop class. And it's once a week. I feel like I'm at a bar mitzvah party.
Is it virtual or in person?
It's in person and it's outside. And I may not be the best dancer, but I am a really good performer. And I would equate my dancing skills to that of Napoleon Dynamite. And
so you say you may not be a good dancer, but you're a really good trier.
I'm a good trier.
And you put all of your energy into it.
Yeah.
No matter what you look like.
Mm-hmm. Corey, I feel so accomplished when I can get the choreography, and they're really good at breaking it down. It looks like if you walked into that class, you'd be like, there's no way I'm doing this. But I'm like, I can, there's a choreography muscle, right? Yeah. Like the first class, you're like, wow, this is like, I couldn't even do a Zumba class because I couldn't figure out the choreography. But this, I'm like, I can get it. So
Elise May, she's been doing this hip hop class forever.
Yeah.
And anytime we go to Birmingham, she's trying to get me to go with her. I need to go one of these days. She's like you. She just has so much fun and gets into it and just wants to be there because she loves the music. She loves to move. She's a good dancer too.
I'm dying to take, if you're ever in Atlanta, I don't know, they don't usually let us do drop-ins, but I think they might let me bring you.
What do you wear to the hip hop class?
So what do I wear or what do other people wear?
Let's start with what is typically worn to a hip hop class.
What the other women are wearing is like what you'd wear to any exercise class, a sports bra and leggings and a tank top,
But what do you, so I'm so curious to know what you would wear. Is it like the cutoff? Here's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing the leggings, but maybe they have like a rip in them, like on purpose. I'm picturing a tank or sports bra, but then I'm also like imagining one of those ripped sweatshirts a la Flashdance era.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wearing a sports bra. That's a must-have.
Okay.
And then I'm dressing like I've worn like a trucker cap, and my puffy hair is sticking out, and I have these Spanx leggings that are fake black patent leather. Right? They look.
We all have those. We all have those. Yes.
They're shiny.
Yes.
They're shiny, and they look like something you'd wear to a dance club. But then I wear it with I have this like oversized Keith Haring tank top that kind of does this flash dance thing.
Oh, see, yes.
And my Converse high tops. That's
you
what
wear
I'm dancing.
Converse to dance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What kind of shoes are you supposed to wear? Athletic shoes, I guess.
Yeah, they're all wearing like sneakers you would take to the gym, but Cakes, Samantha Cake Stone, who runs and owns the studio, like I'm trying to dress like her. Like she looks like she's ready to be in a dance video, a music video. So I'm like, I'm going to dress like Cakes.
I want to be named Cakes. How'd she get that name? I want to be named Chips. Can you just call me Chips?
You name me, and I'm Guac.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, she dresses so cute, and she's always there's one day she complimented my outfit, and then every day I'm like, this is what I'm doing.
There's the bar. It is set. You need that compliment, that reinforcement.
I almost wore a skirt the other day if it had been warmer out.
Like I have mini skirt, exercise skirt, or
kind of. It's like that skirt, that purple skirt I wear with my bathing suit.
I like that purple skirt. I've almost absconded with that skirt many a times, and I'm not a skirt wearer.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Well, speaking of working out, I discovered a sport the other day that I had no idea was an actual sport. I feel like this is the equivalent of the first time I realized that what's that sport where you basically mop the floor, but there's a large cylinder in front of you.
It's I'm doing the thing with my hand and it doesn't look right. It's a Stuart loves to watch it.
It's not scrubbing. What is it? It's
what is that?
Curling.
Oh my God.
Curling.
Yes.
The first time I saw curling on TV and realized it was an Olympic sport, and I to this day still can't wrap my head around it.
Loves that. He said he watches all the weird sports on ESPN.
Okay, well,
including...
Stuart, Bubba, I don't know if you know about this sport yet, and I don't even know what it's called because
this is our brother, everyone.
Yes, so
if you're
this
listening.
was
we call him Bubba.
Every time I looked up to the television, there was a new element added. So that's why I'm not quite sure what to call it. So let's just assume. Let's start with the basic, which it looks like gymnastics. Okay.
Is this Copiera?
I don't know. What is Copiera?
It's like a mixture between like dance and martial arts, and there's drumming.
No, but I'm very fascinated to understand more about that. No, this started out with gymnastics, and first they came out with gymnastics and hula hoops, but they were throwing the hula hoops around and using it sort of like you would use a baton, right? Like tossing it in the air and then jumping through it and then all this stuff. So that was fascinating because I just thought to myself, who in the world decided to combine hula hooping and gymnastics? And the woman competing was from Israel. So I was even more fascinated because I thought...
Wait, it's an Olympic sport? Is that what you said?
No, I don't know if it's an Olympic sport. There was some, and I don't even remember, but it was some national or obviously international competition going on. So it was, I don't know, and probably on ESPN too. I just happened to catch it. But then I was mesmerized. So first they came out with the gymnastics hula hoop combination. Next, and these are individuals. Next, she came out.
They set it on fire.
No,
they set
that would have been
fire.
awesome. Next, she came out with something that resembled sort of a colorful volleyball. I'm not sure how heavy it was, maybe not the weight of a volleyball, but was doing the same thing, like tossing it in the air and would do a roll and then catch it, which it was a lot going on, right? Then, if that wasn't impressive and strange enough.
This is all during the same moment?
No, this is all like round one was everybody competing in the gymnastic hula hoop competition. Then round two was everybody competing in the gymnastic ball competition. Round three was the gymnastics and ball, but synchronized as a group. So imagine those pool women, right? The synchronized swimmers, which I am totally fascinated and memorized by.
Pool
but
women.
Out of the pool. They're on dry land, right? The pool women. The synchronized. So this was synchronized gymnastic, ball throwing, tumbling. That's it. I have no idea. I don't know how you get scored. Like I just started going down in my head this very fascinating trajectory of who created this, and besides that, how do you decide who's good at it? Who decided the rules for this and how to judge it?
And there's got to be like the first person who like did this sport, and like her friends were like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, it's first of all, go get your hula hoops, girls. I'm going to show you the best new." Right? And then it became it's like crazy. It became an international sensation. Did it happen before the internet? Did it catch on before the internet existed?
But it also makes me think, like, what are the things we were doing as kids? We were so creative in our play. And what were the things we were doing just to entertain ourselves that could have become Olympic sports?
Yeah.
I think there are a lot.
Well, when I was at Cartoon Network, we did some sort of cross promotional campaign with an advertiser where kids got to make up their own sports, do a video of it, and submit it, and then they got featured on Cartoon Network. And it was that like idea of creating something like a whole new thing with existing items in your house, but it was a sport.
Do you remember? That is hysterical. I love that.
Isn't that great? So, but we actually just got into a very heated debate with my entire family about kickball and whether that is an actual sport.
100% it is. Yes.
Yes, it is. Right? But like Aaron and Ruby are like, no, it's not. And Oscar and I were like, yeah, it is. And Murray's like, I'm going to be the judge of this debate. And we talked about it for 45 minutes. And it's like in the Olympics, I think. I just may have made that up. But kickball.
I'm pretty sure you made that up.
If that is a sport, if the hula hooping, colorful ball gymnastics thing is a sport, then what kickball is absolutely a sport.
Right. So. There's a ball and you have to kick it and run. It combines so many different things. I would just say if bowling is a sport, then kickball is a sport.
Also, it's amazing to think about sports throughout the world that we just don't even know exist, that we're not familiar with. I'm sure there's other things like that we don't know about, and that's based on regional culture and weather. Right. I mean, because really curling is a northern sport, right?
Like northern United States, or I don't know if you're about
cold
to say.
Weather.
Oh,
cold weather. It's a cold weather sport. That's where it derived, like bobsledding, right? But the Jamaican bobsledding team was like new to like. Did you ever watch that movie?
Yes, that was a great movie.
Cool Running.
Cool Running.
John Candy's in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of blessed memory. May he rest in peace.
Yes. So, and it's like Murray started doing rugby, and it's totally foreign to me, right? They toss the ball backwards instead of forwards, and they do this thing where they raise you up in the air, like gymnastics, like cheerleading. It's so interesting to see the evolution of sports in different regions. Anyway, so what's the conclusion? You're starting to try out this.
No,
new
that
band?
was it. I just, of course, during COVID, to your point, I'm seeing things that I had never seen before because I wasn't maybe at home as much or watching as much TV. That's a lie. I've always watched this much television. I'm just blaming COVID for it now. It was just fascinating, but it is a reminder of how much, to your point, how much we don't know that exists in the world that people are doing on a daily basis because it's part of their culture. And that's the reason for exploration. And when I say exploration, I am saying I am so excited to travel this year. I cannot wait. I think everybody, I know they're saying there is a travel explosion now that people are getting vaccinated and borders are opening up and flights are increasing and people, they're loosening the mandates. And I am so excited. I just spend every day just kind of looking through Airbnb for fun.
I just want to hug people. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, I agree. That too. I don't think I've seen Mommy and Daddy since Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that was us. We hadn't seen them since Thanksgiving, and Mommy started crying when she hugged Ruby.
Oh, no. That's sad.
Yeah, she's like, "You're just like my mom." Yeah, Jason came over, our cousin, and I hugged him, and he's like, "Well, I feel like I just saw you." I'm like, "I don't know. Did we hug?"
Right. Can we hug?
Can we hug?
Do you think people will shake hands again? Do you think that will come back?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think people will still. I think people do the elbow bumps, and if anything, they'll do like the fist bump.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hug someone you know. It's another thing to shake someone's hand that you don't know.
Yeah. I will say a few weeks ago, we were introduced to someone through a mutual friend, and we're all masked, but the person went out to shake my hand, and I froze because then you're stuck in that awkward situation of, I really don't want to shake your hand. And I can't believe you're offering your hand during this pandemic, which hasn't been done in like a year plus. But my southern side of me was also saying, but don't be rude. Shake the guy's hand.
That's why I do chest bumps. I just do chest bumps.
Is that you in the grocery store I see? Yes, that's so awkward.
So I was at Michael Sokol, my friend from childhood, was directing this sketch show that was outdoors, and I went to go see it, and he reintroduced me to someone that I know. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I took a sketch writing class with him eons ago, and he's like, "Oh, you remember so-and-so?" And my first inclination, and we were all wearing masks, my first inclination was to go in for a hug, and then in the middle, as I'm leaning forward, I turned it into an elbow bump, right?
Right.
And he goes, and he's an introvert, right? So without the pandemic, he's not a guy who wants
he's not hugging you anyway during normal times.
So he goes, "Oh my God, thank God you did the elbow. I thought you were going in for a hug." And I was like, well,
full disclosure.
Yeah, and I cannot tell a lie, right? I just can't. I can't do it. And I was like, I was going in for a hug, and I changed it. And I can't. I'm a hugger. This has been really hard for me. So I'm just, I'm sorry. I know I would have hugged you if it wasn't the pandemic, and that would have been awkward.
I'll tell you full circle. So, my most social thing this past year has been going to the grocery, going to Publix specifically. And I love the employees there. They've been my peeps. They've been my saving grace. And I go there almost on a daily basis. And when the pandemic first started, when we were first masking and people were starting to get pretty nervous and neurotic, I ran into a friend of mine at Publix named Debbie, and she was masked and I was masked, and and our first instinct, to your point, was, oh my gosh, we should hug, whatever. And she came towards me, and I was so off guard that I kind of screamed. I don't think I screamed "Space Invader," but something to that effect or "Don't touch me," or something disarming. And she looked at me. She said, "Of course, honey, I wasn't gonna touch you. I was just coming over to talk." I said, "Okay, I'm so sorry," and I kept apologizing because then, of course, my Southern sensibility and just my nature, I thought, I love you, and I don't want you to think I don't want to be near you. I'm just on full alert. I haven't seen her since that happened, almost a year ago, until last week. And once again, it was almost like the universe was bringing me a second chance. We walked into Publix together, and I was much calmer. And I said, I am so happy to see you. How are you? And we caught up. And I said, and I'm fully vaxxed. She goes, I'm fully vaxxed. I'm like, oh my gosh, a whole new world's opening up. And then we did a very strategic and thoughtful elbow bump, right? Even though, I wanted to hug her, but I was like, well, I'm so glad. And so I felt so much better because that has been weighing on my heart for the whole year. I didn't want her to think I didn't love her.
Right. And then you looked her deep in the eyes and you said, Debbie, I have a very important question for you. Do you like
adore
me? Or do you adore me?
And I still haven't gotten the answer.
Well, whether you like Alison or adore me, we don't care as long as you're listening. And don't forget to share Sis and Tell podcast with your friends. And you know what? Share us with your enemies too.
As always, this has been Amanda and Alison with a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. We'll catch you next time.
Sis and Tell.